Hi everyone, my name is Greg from the Laser channel where we learn, create, and share. And in today's video, I have two fun projects. I'm going to be using the Xtool Select materials. The first one is going to be this huge water mug tumbler. We're going to be putting a really cool design on here. The other material that I have from Xtool are these cool light up pens. We'll put an engraving on the side, and when I start writing with the pen, the engraving is going to light up the color that's on the end of the nub. Comes in 3 different colors. This one, of course, is red, and also comes in yellow and blue as well. To make this project quick and easy, these select materials, when I use an Xtool machine, also has this little card that comes with it. And the cool thing about this card is when I flip it over, there's a QR code right here. I can scan that or go to the Xtool website and enter in, if I can point to it, what material that I'm using, whether it's the pens or the tumbler right there. And I just select the machine with the laser source power that I'm using, and it's going to automatically plug in the settings that I need. It's a perfect way to get perfect results. We'll see that I also have my thumb over another QR code. This is for the Prime VIP service within the Xtool software. To make these two projects, I'm going to be using the S1 laser machine with a 40-watt laser module with it. And I'm also going to be using the rotary attachment. I've got the chuck set up for that. And to make sure that I've got enough height for all of these different projects, I do have installed the riser block, which is perfect for this project and a lot of other projects. This riser block is, I think, one of my favorite accessories for the S1. If you'd like to check out these materials and all the other materials that are available along with the machine and the accessories, I'll have some links down below for you to check out. And now it's time to jump into Xtool Creative Space and start the design on the first project. In the machine, I already have one of the tumblers chucked up. I did, of course, remove the handle on that, and I'll show you the setup with the rotary once we take a look at the design for my first project. All right, let's check out the graphic. I picked out something that I made a while back. It's a majestic cat sitting in a nice scenery. This I've also used on some coasters, and it's been pretty popular with a lot of my clients. I think this graphic fits perfectly with this video's theme of back to school. I could see a student or a teacher going to their graphic arts class with that engraved on the mug. Next up, I'm going to briefly cover the setup within the software to make sure I get the results that I want within the rotary chuck. Now, if you've been a long-time Xtool user, you know how to do all of this like, well, the back of your hand. But for those of us who are either new or not familiar with Xtool, let's do this quick rundown. The first thing that I'd recommend doing is changing from the lay flat on the process plate and selecting the rotary chuck. You're also going to notice that there's a view usage for all of the different options, which is a quick video showing me how to get things connected up to the laser machine. I already have the chuck selected, so I'll X this out. The next thing I need to do is take the included tape measure with the rotary kit and measure the perimeter or the diameter of the object in there. In this case, the tumbler. I measured that perimeter or the circumference at 321 millimeters. The next thing, which I think is really cool, is getting the perfect settings for my graphic with this black and gold tumbler. For that, I clicked on what would normally be select materials up here, and just let me take you through the whole process. Normally, I just click on more Xtool materials. That quickly loads in. We're going to see that I already have loaded in my machine the Xtool S1 with the laser module, and I have all these other options here, the 2-watt IR, 10-watt blue diode, 20-watt blue diode, and of course the 40-watt that I have in here. And I want to take a look at all material types and all processing models, and I can now scroll through everything within the Xtool shopping area that is compatible with the machine that I have. We're going to see down at the bottom here, there's 12 pages of all of this. All these materials have been tested with the machine to get the results that I'm looking for. So I've jumped ahead to page 4 and I find the black plastic sprayed gold plated 304 stainless steel tumbler mug. That's a mouthful. When I click on that, that loads in. It's going to confirm the machine that I'm using. And of course, I can select all these other machines that would be compatible with that material. This just double checks how I'm going to be processing this. Right now, the processing type is set to score, and I actually want to do engraving, so it switches over. And here's all the settings that Xtool already found that's working with the machine and that tumbler. So I'm going to make a mental note, power 40, 200, and 160. I can click Add to Xtool Creative Suite, and it has plugged all of that in there already. So when I click on my graphic, here's the 40% power, 200 millimeters per second at 160 lines per centimeter. Now in just a minute, we're going to take a look at the setup that I have for the chuck inside of the machine. But for right now, I just have to tell you that I have the opening of the tumbler facing towards the right-hand side. So I'm going to take the top of my graphic and rotate that to the right-hand side. I want the top of the graphic to be the top of the tumbler. And this is going to be about 100 millimeters wide and 93 millimeters tall. That's about the largest that I would like to do on a tumbler this size. Certainly I could go a lot wider, but if I go too wide, then it starts wrapping the edges and it gets hard to see kind of what the graphic is. Certainly if I wanted to, I could do a full 360-degree wrap of any type of design I would like. I've already set the focus of the laser head up to the material, and as promised, let's take a look underneath the cover and take a look at the setup that I have with the rotary chuck. This is going to be the Xtool RA2. It's a fully configurable rotary system consisting of, I call them the hot dog rollers. And today, of course, we're using the chuck adapter. This kit also includes this round stock piece at the end here. This is going to support round objects like holiday ornaments or baseballs or anything that are kind of like that shape. It really helps support and make sure the materials are secure in the machine. For today's video, I'm using the auxiliary wheel set. There's 2 little wheels that are going to be sitting underneath the end of this really long tumbler. That's going to give it some support to make sure it doesn't kind of angle down over at this end. Fully adjustable with this little thumb screw right here. On the chuck, I have the largest jaw adapters. That way I can grab onto the outside of this tumbler. This is going to be the preferred way. It's going to make a very secure holding power on this tumbler. And I can also push the tumbler this way into the jaws, and it's going to be a nice stop point to make sure that it's perfectly centered up and squared up to the rotary chuck itself. Aligning the laser module up to the work material is super easy. I can use these precision and very fine red laser crosshairs. What I like to do is go down the center line of the drive shaft, and I can go all the way down to this other end to make sure that I'm still centered up on my object, and I can move that back in the middle here. And where I originally had this positioned is I like to put the crosshairs in between where it starts to taper and the very top. That seems to be very aesthetically pleasing when we go to engrave the graphic on the tumbler. Now the handle position, that's normally over here, and normally on a much smaller tumbler, I would have the handle sticking straight out that way, but because of this large engraving, I actually want to shift that just a little bit so that handle's actually dipped down a little bit. And of course, on this large tumbler, the handle is removable with 2 screws. And by the way, the screwdriver to remove those screws is included with the tumbler. I think from here, I'm ready to turn on my exhaust system and hit the go button, and we'll be able to check out the results with this. I'm also pretty eager to see just how good the default settings are within the Xtool software. I only have 2 of these tumblers to play with, the one that's in the machine and the one that we saw on top of the machine at the very beginning of the video. I'll get the exhaust system on and get some background music going, and we'll watch a little video montage of this first project being made. The engraving's complete, and let's check this out. First thing I see is I don't have the shiny engraving like the metal is up here, so I think I'm going to have to get this cleaned off, and for that I'm going to use some LA's Totally Awesome. Not only is this great for removing smoke residue off of wood, it's also perfect for using on tumblers. Now, the total engraving time on this one was a little over 30 minutes, and that's due to a mistake on my part. See all these little dots as a part of all of this big design? I didn't have that all grouped together, so after it engraved the main design, it went back and it started doing all these little pieces where it should have just really engraved everything all at once. Now that's not the machine's fault, that's user error on my part, but I'm gonna get this removed from the machine, cleaned up, and we're gonna see the results that I have on this first project. Actually, we're gonna learn together how well this cleans up. I'm a little apprehensive on just how much magic this LA's Totally Awesome is going to do. I also have a magic eraser that sometimes gets the last little bit to get that shiny metal underneath to come through. Oh, let's check this out. And right now, the LA's Totally Awesome doesn't seem like it's really cleaning anything up at all. I've got a little bit of that gold coming through, and I do have a little bit that is picking up on my cloth. I'm kind of hoping that the settings provided by me by Xtool would have been the perfect ones right away. And actually, I do have the metal coming through that nice gold color. So the LA's Totally Awesome is doing a little bit. Maybe I just have to let it sit a little bit longer. Before I do that, I'm going to try the magic eraser. And this, I'm using some moderate force to scrub down on there, but not too much that I start marking up the other non-engraving areas. That can sometimes happen if we get a little overzealous trying to get this cleaned up. One more spritz here with the LA's Totally Awesome. I'm gonna work that in with my finger a little bit. I'm gonna give that a minute for it to kind of settle in and kind of work its action, and I'll be back in just a second to wipe off the rest of the LA's Totally Awesome. A few minutes later, and I think it's looking better. So the settings look pretty good, and I do technically have the gold color from underneath coming through. I'm wondering if the speed was just a little bit too low. I do have some slight etching marks in there, so I think maybe I started to color mark the metal underneath rather than going through just the outside layer of the tumbler. So one of the things that I did while this was being engraved is I did look at the Xtool website for this very specific tumbler, and one of the first comments that was in there is somebody that did a whole bunch of these, and they had a recommended settings of 40% power, 300 speed with the lines per centimeter bumped up to 220. And the thing that they also did, which I think makes all the difference, is they defocus the laser up another 6 millimeters, and what that does is it gives it the machine a lot broader range of settings so that it doesn't accidentally start color marking the metal underneath, but it still gives the laser plenty of power to get through this outside black coating. So I think what I might do is actually flip this tumbler over and rerun that same graphic that we did before. Place it right where I'm going to be taking the focus measurement, and when the machine does the focus test, it's automatically going to have the offset thickness that I'm looking for. Now with that covered, let's close the lid and get this project going. All right, the second go at this is complete, and let's check it out. Now, the total engraving time for this project was a little bit over 16 minutes. I was hoping for it to be far less. However, after we did increase the speed of the machine, we also went back and increased the lines per centimeter pretty significantly. So I guess it makes sense that it really did take this long. And the other thing that was really cool is it engraved everything all at once. It's not going back and getting all the little tiny segments. So right away, I think that the new settings I put in there are looking much better. I'm going to do the same treatment as I did before. I'm going to give this a wash with some LA's Totally Awesome. And if I need to, I'll use that magic eraser and be back in just a second. The tumbler's all cleaned up, the handle's reinstalled along with the lid. Here's a nice close-up of the first engraving, and now that I take a look at it in some proper lighting, it looks pretty good. The factory settings from Xtool did a pretty good job of getting this nice engraving to really shine through. When you flip this around and take a look at the other side, now we really get the wow factor. This was the shiny gold color I'm looking for. This looks absolutely spectacular. Well, the first project's done, and well, it did take a little bit longer with me having to do it twice, but I think it was well worth it to explore those other settings to get these perfect results. Next up, I'm going to turn my attention over to these engravable pens that light up once we hit the button on the back side. The process is going to be the same as what we did on the Tumbler. I'm going to, within the software, go out and tell it I'm using this pen with this machine with that 40-watt laser module in there, and it's going to automatically port in the perfect or near perfect settings for this next project. I'm going to do all three colors of the pens. I'm going to do a different design on each one. Maybe one of them will have the Xtool logo on it and another one the laser channel, and I think for the third one I'll come up with something different. So rather than go through step by step, because it's going to essentially be the same as the Tumbler, we'll just meet back up within the S1 laser machine and check out a little video montage of these three pens being laser engraved. The S1 laser machine is all reconfigured. Let's check out the couple basic things I needed to do. Starting out by flipping the jaws. These were facing outward and now they're facing inward. So now I've got a great grip on this pen. To the other end, I'm using the auxiliary wheel set once again, and now we can see the two little wheels here to help support this end of the pen so it stays nice and level and in focus with the laser head. The other thing that I did is I did raise this base plate up just one setting so it brings it into the focal distance of the laser machine. This is all set, so let's watch a montage of this first engraving being made. I'm going to do the other two off camera and I'll catch up with you in just a minute or two with all three completed pens. All three pens are complete and they turned out great. And by the way, these only took about 30 seconds a piece. Where's the third pen? Let's check it out. Now let's check out how this third and final pen turned out. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Not only is it a great way to help the laser channel grow, it's an awesome way to connect video content just like this with other great viewers just like you. And until we meet again in the next video, I'm Greg from the Laser Channel, where we learn, create, and share.